So we're going to call the meeting to order. This is the meeting of the Animal Services Advisory Committee. And our first order of business is going to be public comment. The advisory committee takes public comment on all items in the regular agenda. Public input on regular agenda items will be taken at its appropriate discussion. Public input on items not on the agenda or consent agenda may be identified and requested for consideration by the advisory committee at this time. The advisory committee may request an item to be placed on a future agenda or for consent agenda items to be moved to the regular agenda for public comment. So we'll move forward with public comment, and we'll keep it at 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, James Flores, Assistant Director of Neighborhood and Family Services. Just got a little blurb to speak about this weekend's activity. This is a second annual pit party for our shelter, and the theme is all pit bulls and pit barbecue pits. So last year we were pretty successful. I think we did about 27 animals at that adoption event. It's open to all the animals in our shelter, and with our long stays, which is 15 days or longer, they're going to be on sale for $10. Of course, every pit bull that we have will be on sale for $10 as well. That's completely vetted, microchipped, altered, vaccinations, rabies, the whole 9 yards. We are looking forward to this year's event. It's going to start a little later, 3 p.m. Saturday the 23rd out at the shelter, and will last until 10 p.m. We have food booths that are going to be there, some taco trucks. We got a DJ service on board, and we have last year's band, who has grown tremendously in following and size as well as far as our band is concerned. They agreed to come back from Austin, Texas, and do that live performance for us as well. So lots of food, fun activities, and of course, it's just a way to promote the breed of pit bulls this weekend. And of course, any dog over 15 days old will be $10. So I'd like to see everybody there that can attend.
What are the
Bob
activities?
will be in the Dunkin'
Anything
booth,
for kids?
Well, we have a Dunkin' booth that Bob's going to be in, so we're looking.
Will I be in there?
We're looking forward to that. Actually, I'm in the Dunkin' booth, so I'm a little worried about some of you guys with some good arms up there. So, Sarah Bennett, pretty good at throwing a ball, right?
I wouldn't do that to you.
Okay, thank you, James. All right, moving on. Our next order of business is the consideration of approving the May 19th minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review those, and are there any amendments that need to be made? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented.
I motion to approve.
Yeah, I need a second. Okay. All those in favor of approving the minutes as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, motion carries. They are approved, and we're moving on now to the Animal Shelter Advisory Committee goals and objectives. We all met. We had our meeting. The numbers? Oh, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead. Yes, please, the numbers.
Good morning. Otherwise, I won't be able to speak, and this is my part here. Committees, these numbers are for May and June. You can see that in May, we had over 680 new entries into the facility. We adopted, our owner returned 134. It gave us a live release rate of 55% that month in May. 0 adoptable animals were euthanized. The euthanized, over 371 feral, injured, and sick, or other issues associated with it, like failure to survive, failure to thrive, those kind of things. And we had over 211 left in the shelter, and we had 80 citizens that used our services. Spay-neuter, our low-cost spay-neuter program, vaccines, those kind of things that we offer. In June, we had a drop in entry into the shelter at 511. We had an increase in owner returned and adopted, 148, which is good. Our live release rate for June was 53%. Again, it's better than the national norm. 0 adoptable animals are euthanized. We have 336 euthanized for various reasons. We had 197 left in the shelter, and then we had 28 citizens using our services at the shelter. And I'll entertain any questions, concerns, or issues.
No, great job though on the 0 adoptable euthanized.
Again, that is really a community effort between all the adopting agencies and nonprofits, and of course our citizens, and our staff working pretty hard at that. So thank you.
Are you still having a lot of owner release?
Owner surrenders. We I don't say a lot. We get about anywhere from 15 to 20 a month, I believe.
Are you charging them yet?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
And they can never adopt again?
That is correct. We maintain their name, contact information, and just at that point, if they come up to try to adopt, we don't allow them to do that.
We have a program that can track that?
That's correct.
Is this, is there another breakdown that separates? I know we were talking about where it actually broke down how many were come in as strays, how many came in as owner surrenders, and how many were
We do
had
have
pulled the
that.
feral out.
We do have that if you want it. We'll have to. It's a hidden slide there. Brian, could you please bring up that slide? Just a minute here. He'll do his thing. Okay. These are the breakdowns of the euthanasia numbers. For May, we had 16 aggressive, 6 bite quarantines, 54 failure to thrive, 167 feral cats, 15 injured, 100 were sick, 8 owner request, and 5 were wildlife. And again, none for time and space. In June, a little bit more numbers in aggressive, 22, 1 less in bite quarantine at 5. 7 failure to thrive, a big drop in that. 126 cats, feral cats, 11 injured, 154 sick, 11 owner request, 0 wildlife, and then 0 time and space. These are the details of the euthanasia actions we took.
What about the breakdown on the number that come in? Do you have that? I'm just curious to see, because I think the month prior,
Talking about owner request?
the owner surrenders it was quite high, almost half of the number that came into the shelter, wasn't it? In the month before?
There's a lot of those that come in as owner surrender, and the majority of those are going to be your feral cats that are not registered through a colony. And I will add on this same number here, your feral cat and your sick are one in the same type of category. So Robert might want to clarify that for me, but I don't have the exact number, but I know out of the 300 plus that we euthanized, 260, 270 were cats. Mm-hmm. So this looks like sick was puppies, dogs, blah, 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 but it was just in the feral category.
No, I understand the euthanasia breakdown's great, but I'm wanting the breakdown on the intake, how many came in as strays and how many came in as owner surrendered. That just kind of helps me gauge what's.
Well, again, it's the majority of animals entering the shelter are feral animals, feral cats, and those are not owner. So the percentage of owner requested euthanasia. Are you talking about just
I'm
surrenders?
just talking about intake.
Just
period.
surrenders.
Yeah,
I
owner
gotcha.
surrenders. I'm not talking about euthanasia. Just
I
the.
believe we do have that number somewhere.
We do. It's broken down in our monthly.
I don't have it with you. I don't have it with me for today, but I can bring it in next time. I'll make sure that's one of the categories we cover.
Okay, if you would, because
I
that
would.
just kind of helps me gauge where these
Gotcha.
animals are coming from
Sure.
to try to, so that maybe we can come up with different ways to help address that.
I'll look for it right now, and I'll get back to you on it.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay.
Great, thank you.
Now, on these numbers, I believe now we are going to accept them as they're presented. So if there's no further questions, I need a motion to accept the numbers as they were presented, the report as presented. Okay, we have a motion and a second.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say yay.
Yay?
Opposed? All right, motion carries. We've accepted that report. All right, moving on to the discussion and possible action related to increasing the hours the shelter is open to the public during the work week.
Good afternoon, James Flores again. We have kind of been in the spay-neuter market now for a good, 4 or 5 months. Kind of worked out some kinks that we've, encountered. And I think one of the biggest kinks that we're experiencing is our operational hours. Closing at 5 o'clock in the afternoon is not very feasible to the citizen or accommodating to the citizen. We are accommodating them, obviously, and staying there later or whatever if we have to, but most people are getting off at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So we've been bouncing around the idea of possibly extending our weekly hours at the shelter to accommodate the pickup of the animal. I proudly say that we're getting close to about 90% of complete inventory being altered today, which means there's not a wait time at all. However, when fresh dogs come in or new dogs come in, typically the puppies or whatever, they're some of the first to get adopted. The following day, we're scheduling surgery, and most people are the animal is ready at 3:30 p.m. typically the day of surgery, unless something the doc needs him to stay for extra pain med or whatever he deems necessary. People are having to rush over by to pick up their animal that they just adopted today by 5 o'clock. So we looked at it internally from a management standpoint, and we would like the ability to go open from 10 a.m. To 6 p.m. Every single day of the week. That actually gives the citizenry extra time, and we would, from a budget standpoint, we would be giving the citizens a little bit more time in that capacity of being open and able to pick up your adoption dog and redeem your dog. A lot of people don't realize your dog is lost until they get home at 5. They call us and we're closed. Or they see it on Patango, because we are pretty quick to put the picture of your lost pet in the on the website. But it does you no good because we're not open. So we would like to accommodate that population that is both adopting and redeeming by going extra hour every single day, Monday through Friday, and perhaps eliminating our Saturday 10 to 1, which is a 3-hour excursion. We looked at that as well, and the services offered on Saturday would still be offered via our mobile adoption center. That is pretty much an extension of our shelter. It has food, it has water, it has air conditioning, it has basic triage equipment in it. It has first aid equipment in it, and the beauty of it is it's probably going to be located somewhere closer within the community if you need us on Saturday and for an extended time frame, because usually at an adoption event, they start at 10 and they can go to 5, 6 o'clock at night. So I think we have a full array of services that we can still offer by eliminating that Saturday, but opening up until 6 every single day of the week. Internally, I would just adjust the staffers. Obviously, we don't want to create an overtime budget constraint or something like that. But we've talked about it. We've looked at it on paper, and I would just kind of like to get your opinion on that, on whether or not we should or could proceed with this druther.
I approve of it. I think it's great, because don't you say also that most of the people that come on Saturday are just surrendering dogs?
There's a lot of, and I did bring some numbers. Let me get them real quick. We ran some numbers. We've been monitoring this because, again, as spay-neuter was introduced, there was a lot of things we had to work on to accommodate scheduling of the low-cost program, scheduling of the deliveries of the animals once they were adopted. And I think we've gotten a lot better at it, so I think this is a great time. But just to give you an example, since April until last week, that's 19 weekends that we were open. 19 Saturdays, we were there for 3 hours a day. 16 animals were adopted. That's 1.12 animals a day, or a Saturday being adopted. Whereas on our mobile locations, we're averaging, 8 to 12 a Saturday event, still offering the ability to redeem an animal because we have a trailer that'll house it. We'll be prepared to do that. And we can list that adoption event all over our website so that if people who normally are accustomed to our Saturday opening from 10 to 1 wanted to drop off an animal, because there is a lot of drop-offs on Saturday, that there is, or can be on some. I mean, there's some Saturdays we see nobody, and then there's some Saturdays we see, a lot of people. But I think the beauty of the mobile trailer, it's still going to capture that service need aspect of the community, and probably for a lot longer hours on a Saturday and more conveniently located than where we're at. But that's about what you're getting adoption-wise, is 1.19 a day, or 1.19 a Saturday.
They can drop them off if they're too? What if they're sick? You're not gonna-
Well, we would have to be prepared for that. Of course, they drop them off sick on Saturdays at the shelter, and it's no
I
different.
know, but I mean, I'm talking about in the trailer.
Right. I mean, we would, we can assess the animal. By no means are any of us veterinarians at them locations, but even our doctor is available on Saturdays, has come out many a times. If there was a special need, if it was a parvoed litter or something, obviously we wouldn't want to put that in our trailer and,
Yeah,
and
that's what I was
contaminate the
getting
other
at.
animals. But we could prepare, maybe bring a secondary unit, an animal control unit, a truck out. And with our new truck, we can accommodate a rolling cage to completely separate that sickness from health in the bed of that pickup.
That was
So,
my
sure.
question.
Well, how many do you think you'd be able to accommodate in that truck? You have about 6, right? You can take 6 intakes if you need to?
In an ACO truck?
Yeah.
You can take up to 8 in an
8,
ACO
there you
truck, depending on the size of the animals. But the trailer houses up to 22 animals, depending
Wow.
on how you partition the slots.
And those would be healthy, adoptable animals, and if somebody wants to turn one in, we would use the truck at that time, right?
If it's a sick dog, we would transport it probably in the animal control truck. If it's a healthy litter or a dog or something, I don't see any reason that we couldn't house it in the same trailer. With a little pre-check before we put it in there. And there's some obvious signs, as you well know, that we can look for to make sure it's not a contaminated issue or create a contamination.
What do you do with the calls that come in on Saturday? Do you have a way to have a recording advising people? Because not everybody gets a paper or watches the news. So when the phone rings, and just rings and rings and rings, but if you had some kind of recording just for Saturdays, even Sundays, really.
Absolutely, and we do utilize the recording. Currently now, it will go to a recorder, but that just captures the message. So I think we could easily fix that and add maybe an on-call number, because that's what Saturdays is anyways, an on-call situation for emergencies, for injured, for PD support, police department support. So we could probably add maybe our location at that time. That's a simple fix on a Friday
Yeah,
afternoon
that's
before you
probably
leave
good,
work.
yeah.
Just record the recording.
Just let 'em know
That could
where
be
it's gonna
something we
be.
could implement in our due process for the day. Good idea.
Any other comments?
No, I think it's a great idea. Just being up at the shelter, I know that the late afternoons is really a very busy time, and I see
Very busy.
people rushing in, trying to get there before closing. So I think opening it up that extra hour would really, I think, be a great thing for this community.
Sure. And we thought about going as long as 7 o'clock. That's actually something we thought about and looked at. The problem with 7 o'clock is at 5:45 on time change, it gets pitch dark, and that's a long ways out there to be in a pitch dark. So, but we might could accommodate something like that through through our current time zone. I mean time issue. But once, I don't know when time change is, I think it's October maybe or something like that, it gets really dark about 5:45. So I think 6 is a great hour. It gives the community a little bit extra time. And we would love to still offer the Saturday services at our adoption event.
Maybe even do 7 one day a week, because there are still a lot of people that don't get off work till 6 o'clock.
Just get with me on when I could put you on that schedule, and we'll get.
Okay, I will. I'll come out there.
No, and I
just
mean, I
pick
like
the day
7.
that I want it
I
to
really
be.
do. Mo's exactly right. We get bombarded about 3 o'clock
Oh,
on
we've
it
been-
every single day. It's just amazing. I think everybody comes in at 3 o'clock, so. So I think that 1 hour will pacify a whole lot.
Okay.
It'll definitely help the redemptions. I mean, you get home, you realize Fido's out. Hey, the shelter's still up until 6. Let's go see if he's there.
If they can make arrangements to come look the day before, they can make arrangements to come get it the next day.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
All righty, thank you.
Guess we can entertain a motion then to, I don't think we should say approve, but to suggest that the shelter look into implementing these new hours of service.
Does it have to go to city council or?
Is that something you will handle internally?
I'm not sure if it does. I'll check on that. Our attorney's in the back. She can. No? We'll check on it and let you all know.
Well, in that case, let's word the motion that we make the recommendation that the shelter be allowed to review and
Yes.
change its hours to make it more accommodating to the public. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion that the hours be looked into for the shelter.
Second it.
And with that, we're talking about being open till 6 in the evening and
Monday
not
through
being
Friday.
open on
And closing on
Saturday.
Saturday.
But technically not closed, being on location Saturday.
shelter would be
Saturday
closed
hours.
for, yeah.
Okay. All right, and we have a second to that?
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Moving on. Update and possible action related to the Animal Service Advisory Committee goals and objectives.
If the committee recalls, we held a couple of work sessions to kind of work through these goals and objectives, and this is what we came up with. These are the 5-year goals. One of them is the Animal Services, and I'll just read them. Animal Services will move into a new centrally located shelter facility that provides a healthy environment for the animals with adequate air quality, drainage, and space. The second goal is for the animal shelter to become a no-kill shelter and get that status with a survival rate of adoptable animals at 100%. And our third 5-year goal is for the animal services will meet guidelines for staffing as established by the Texas Association of Shelters matrix, which will result in better enforcement of ordinances. These are the 5 goals, and I believe there's some more detail in your package of each of these, and at this point, we'll open up for discussion.
I'd like to add that, we kind of tweaked this a little bit in our, we broke up into a group, and what we put was for item number 2, we just thought that needed a little bit more detail. And so what we actually came up with to present to the committee is that San Angelo will achieve a no-kill shelter status, recognizing that the term no-kill is most widely defined as an animal shelter where 90% of the animals received are not euthanized, and understanding that in a shelter environment it is impossible to have a 100% live release rate, and the shelter will euthanize animals that they are unable to treat, has a condition that poses a threat to other animals in the shelter, are feral or aggressive, or cannot be rehabilitated. So we just thought that needed a little bit more so people would understand what the true goal is here, because the term no-kill can be misleading. We want everybody to be clear that we're talking no-kill of adoptable, healthy animals. So we just thought that might be something, and I gave that to you earlier so that we can maybe tweak that. And then the other thing that item number 3, we originally were talking about a Texas Association of Shelter matrix, and that is actually probably not the proper thing to look at. What we're looking at is comparable communities. The Texas Department of Health doesn't seem to really offer any hardcore standards as what they expect, but we were looking at comparable successful communities that have good enforcement and good control. And so we wanted to tweak that to say that San Angelo Animal Services will meet the guidelines for staffing as suggested by comparable and successful communities, which will result in improved and proactive enforcement of ordinances. So just a little bit of tweaking there that on those three, but they're basically still the same. I just think they need a little bit more definition.
And if you all approve this, I'll put this in the website so the citizens can read and see what our 5-year plan and goals are be. And we'll just provide this information to citizens.
I vote we approve it.
You have any other questions?
No, I think it's great. I mean, I'm real excited about having these goals and objectives, and really a lot of this is on the community, actually. The shelter can only do its part, and with a lot of these objectives, in order to be met, the community is going to have to step up and spay and neuter, and really be more mindful of adopting an animal that they are not willing to give a forever home to. So we've got a lot of work to do in San Angelo in order for us to get here.
And I will make these changes as you recommended.
Okay. Faye, did you have anything to add or questions? Okay. Before we entertain Sarah's motion, I just want to say that I agree with Mo that this is these are some lofty goals that we have come up with, and I'm proud to serve with a group that is interested in making some really positive changes. But at the end of the day, it does go back on the community. So I'm glad that the city's doing their part, and the rescues will have to do their part. But at the end of the day, the community's going to have to step up and be responsible. So hopefully with this will come some education. I think that's one of the things that we really talked about when we talk about how we're going to achieve that no-kill. But I'm excited. I'm excited for it. So we have a motion from Sarah on the table to accept
Did you want to take public comment first?
Oh,
I
yes.
think we missed
Sorry,
that
thank
last
you.
time too.
We
So we
did,
need to kind of.
we did. I am under the weather, so I am not on my A game. I'm so sorry. Do we have any public comment on the goals and objectives? Okay, I apologize for that. So now we have a motion that Sarah has put on the table to approve them as they were presented with the amendments that we suggested. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hey.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion carries, and we have our goals and objectives approved.
It's your Navy time, right?
Do what?
It's the time you spend in the Navy, right?
Okay, update on council action on the Animal Service Advisory Committee bylaws.
I don't have a presentation. Basically, we took those bylaws to council, and they were approved unanimously. So, no issues. So
Okay,
they are
wonderful.
now official bylaws.
Great. All right, so it looks like we're
And
ready to
again,
get
we will be
along.
posting those on our website and get those out there as well.
Okay, great. All right, well, our next item is to adjourn. If you have
What
any
happened to future?
future agenda items,
Mm-hmm.
I think
You
what
wanna
we...
did you want to take public comment on the last part as well? Every time I think you have to have public comment each
You
item.
do, and I know that, and I'm just, I think I want to go home. I'm so sorry,
I'll
guys.
keep reminding you.
Yeah, do we have any public comment on the bylaws that were approved by council? No? Okay. As far as future agenda items, we're no longer having that on the agenda, but that is a communication that can take place between us. Just email me what you want on the agenda with some substance as to why you want it on the agenda, or exactly what you want to discuss, so we know what the topic truly is, and we'll get it on the agenda, and that will be posted. Okay, well, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Annie, can I chime in? I found the numbers you were asking
Oh,
for a
yes,
while ago.
okay,
if you
from
want.
earlier.
Owner surrenders was 49 dogs, 9 puppies, 27 cats, 218 ferals, and 1 rabbit, for a total of 304.
Okay, so those ferals make the owner surrender numbers look greater than they really, because the people that are bringing in the caged ferals are not necessarily the owner. Okay. All right, thank you for that. All right, can we have a motion to adjourn?
We would adjourn.
A second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, and we are out of here. Thank you.